A tomato tart worthy of your next brunch, lunch, or appetizer. A foolproof recipe, a solid crispy bottom to this tart. Let me show you how I made it so you can enjoy this crispy, delicious, savory tart. We're going to start with our tomatoes first, and we'll give them a slice. Use plum tomatoes. I didn't have any, but I had these. It'll be the same thing. About a 1/4 inch thick. Once they're all sliced, we're going to sprinkle some salt on top. And this is going to draw out the moisture from the tomatoes. And that's why we have them on the paper towel. This way our tart will not be soggy. And this extra step helps for a nicer tart. We're going to use 1 sheet of puff pastry, and we're going to get that out to be about 10 inches by 9. Preheat your oven to 425. Once we've rolled out our puff pastry, we want to take and roll up a 1/2 inch around the short end of our puff pastry and the long end. Put your puff pastry on a parchment-lined pan before we get started with everything. Now we're going to take a beaten egg. We'll brush the puff pastry with the egg all over. This 2-step method for your puff pastry allows us to have a really nice and crispy tart and not one that's soggy. Using a paring knife, you want to cut around the edge of your puff pastry, right where we made the 1/2 inch fold over. Like that. Now we'll take about a 1/2 cup of Parmesan cheese and we'll sprinkle it on top of our puff pastry before we bake it. We'll take a fork and put some holes in the bottom of our puff pastry. You won't believe how crispy this is going to be later. No more soggy or undercooked or uncooked puff pastry dough. Just like that. And into the oven at 425 for about 15 to 20 minutes. In a little bowl, we'll prepare 2 garlic cloves minced and 2 tablespoons of olive oil. Give that a little mix. My tart took about 10 minutes because I had it on a convection oven. So look at that, it puffed up really nice, and that's what we want. We're going to let this cool on a wire rack before we finish it. In the meantime, let's take those tomatoes that we had sitting on the paper towel and give them a little bit of a wipe. They've released a lot of liquid. These extra steps are going to make this tart so delicious. It'll be crispy with a nice rigid crust. Okay, our crust is cooled, and now we want to put some mozzarella on the bottom of the puff pastry. And then we're going to line our tomatoes. Okay, you want to shingle them sort of like that. We'll take that garlic and olive oil and we'll drizzle that on top of the tomatoes. Now it's ready for the oven a second time for about 15 minutes till it gets really nice and golden brown and real crispy. Look at that. It's gorgeous. And it's one you have never had because it's extra crispy. It's not soggy. It's not waterlogged like usually when you use tomatoes. The method of draining the tomatoes with paper towels keeps this tart worthy of any brunch or lunch. It was in the oven for 15 minutes. I let it cool off for 5 and sprinkled with some fresh basil. And let's try it. You hear that? Let's try a piece of this. Look at that. So crispy. Stands up. It's not soggy. And it's out of this world. It's a tart you could put on the table and be proud of. Perfectly seasoned, crispy, delicious. Try that for an appetizer next time. This is one you want to save. And if you like this recipe, follow for more.